Hi everyone, today we're going to be going over cellular adaptation. So starting off with why do cells adapt? Cells adapt to maintain homeostasis, which means that it works as a way of protection. And our cells adapt due to increased work demands, and they do this by changing in size, number, and form. Cellular adaptation is also reversible, structural, and functional. Our cells adapt by conserving resources, decreasing or seizing differentiated functions, and focusing exclusively on their own survival. Two changes that are extremely important are hypertrophy and hyperplasia, and these are important because they are both harmful and helpful. They're helpful because they increase the size of organs, which leads to better function, but these changes can be harmful because as organs increase in size, more blood supply is needed, and if there isn't enough blood supply, this could lead to ischemia. Our cells can also go through maladaptive changes that lead to cellular injury, but reversible injuries allow our cells to revert back to normal, but non-reversible injuries are permanent and they lead to cell death. The first change I'm going to go over is atrophy, and this is a decrease in cellular size, and this is caused by aging, disuse, lack of blood supply, and hormonal or neural stimulation. This most commonly occurs in our skeletal and heart muscle, brain, and secondary sex organs, and this change is both physiologic and pathologic. One way that these cells change is by autophagy, and this is atrophy secondary to chronic malnutrition. And self-destructive autophagic vacuoles are created in the cell, which leads to their cell decreasing in size. The next change is hypertrophy, and this is an increase in the size of the cells, and this is caused by increased work demands, stress, or hormonal stimulation. When this happens, the amounts of protein in the plasma membrane, the endoplasmic reticulum, the microfilaments, and the mitochondria all increase, and kidney and heart cells are mostly common for this to take place in. And like atrophy, this is also physiologic or pathologic. The next change is hyperplasia, and this is an increase in the number of cells, and this is caused by an increased rate of cell division. And once again, this is also physiologic or pathologic. Normal hyperplasia is stimulated by hormones or the need to replace lost tissue, and this stops when the stimulus is removed. One example of this is wound repair, and this is a compensatory change. And then another example is benign prostatic hyperplasia, and this is a pathologic change. The next change I'm going to go through is dysplasia or atypical hyperplasia, and this is an abnormal change in the size, shape, and organization of mature tissue cells. This is very common in the epithelial tissue of the cervix, as well as the endometrium, and the GI or respiratory tract mucosa. A lot of the times this is also reversible. When dysplastic changes penetrate the basal membrane, an invasive neoplasm is formed. So cervical dysplasia is caused by deranged cells of varying size, shape, and appearance. A lot of the times this is mild, and 70% of the cases can revert back to normal, but when the changes are moderate and severe, there's a higher rate for progressing to cancer. The last change is metaplasia, and this is a reversible replacement of one mature cell type by another cell type. And the substitution of these cells happen due to the ability to survive better. So the biggest example for this is smoking, and this is caused by chronic irritation. So when this irritation occurs, the columnar tissue is replaced by stratified squamous with no cilia or mucus because it has a better ability to survive. And here is a review of all of the different changes.